West Virginia University has found the replacement for E. Gordon Gee, and it's Michael T. Benson. He will be the next president of West Virginia University. And in this episode, which is brought to you by Cats Counter, Stone Street, and Buckner, and BetUS Online, we're going to talk about how this will impact West Virginia's athletics department, and most specifically, their football program. And we're going to have that conversation right after this word from one of those sponsors. Since 1931, the attorneys at Cats, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner have been the voice for victims who have suffered serious injury or death. They have a fierce passion for truth and justice and a sincere compassion for those who have been wronged by others. Whether you have been in a car accident or fighting with an insurance company, or you or a loved one has suffered serious injury or death due to medical negligence, we will ensure your voice is heard loud and clear. Cats, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner will ensure there is justice for all West Virginians, because we are your lawyer, your voice. Visit us at yourlawyeryourvoice.com. What is up, and welcome into this episode of Couz's Corner, your home for top shelf college football news and analysis. On tap in this episode, we're talking about West Virginia University's new president, Michael T. Benson. We're going to do a screen share here, and I will show you the announcement that came across from West Virginia today announcing Mr. Benson as the next president. Now, the news was actually released last week originally by the one and only Hoppy Kercheval, but I wanted to wait for the university to make the announcement before I said anything. 27th WVU President Michael T. Benson pledges to lead by example and with enthusiasm. The new president of West Virginia University will bring 3 decades of academics and administrative experience in higher education to his role, leading West Virginia's flagship land-grant higher education institution into a new era. Following contract negotiations after the WVU Board of Governors meeting February 20th, Michael T. Benson, the current president of Coastal Carolina University, was officially announced Monday as the 27th university president. His appointment will begin in July. I am honored to be named president of West Virginia University, one of our nation's oldest land-grant institutions, Benson said. My 30-year career in public higher education has prepared me for this singular opportunity, and I wish to thank the Board of Governors for the trust they have placed in me and hope to earn that same level of trust and support from the entire WVU community. Now, it goes on to talk about, I'm not going to read this whole thing, it's kind of long, but it goes on to talk about his past experience. It says, prior to his arrival at Coastal Carolina in 21, Benson previously served as president of Snow College, Southern Utah University, and Eastern Kentucky University. Talks about him getting a $10 million gift, the largest in school's history, while he was at Coastal Carolina. His education, when you talk about his education, holy cow, this guy is extremely, extremely educated. It says he was born in Utah, but was raised in Texas and Indiana and worked and studied abroad for more than 6 years in Italy, England, and Israel. He is an accomplished athlete who played basketball at both BYU and Oxford. Now, that part to me, when it comes to athletics, is important because he's going to understand the importance of athletics, and it also shows that he's more than likely a sports fan. So he's going to care. He's going to have passion. He's going to be passionate about it. He's going to care, and he's going to understand the importance of sports. And I'm going to bring a guest on in the second half of the show to kind of touch on that, someone who covers Coastal Carolina, to kind of give his thoughts on what Mr. Benson has done at Coastal Carolina. It says Benson has also held faculty appointments at the University of Utah, the University of Notre Dame, and Johns Hopkins University, and has taught at each institution where he served as president, including Coastal Carolina, where he is professor of history. It says he earned his doctoral degree in modern history from the University of Oxford, St. Anthony's. He also holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Brigham Young University, a master's degree in nonprofit administration from the University of Notre Dame, and a master of liberal arts from Johns Hopkins. So he's been to some of the top schools in the country and in the world: Oxford, Brigham Young, BYU, Notre Dame, and Johns Hopkins. You talk about some esteemed universities, right there he is, and he's also been president of multiple institutions. He's worked his way up from small schools all the way down to the bigger schools. Now, when it comes to athletics, I mentioned he was a former athlete, right? Well, another thing that sticks out to me is he has hired 2 athletic directors in his career. When he was at Eastern Kentucky, he hired an athletic director by the name of Stephen Lockmuller. Now, this was an odd hire because Stephen Lockmuller was not he was completely outside of, he was not an administrator at a college. He actually came from the private sector. He had worked in telecommunications, uh, cell communications, and things like that in different roles, being CEO and different roles. They hired him to come in and run the athletic department. He did so for about I don't know, I think 5 years or so. Pretty good job. I mean, their overall record in football was 36-32 at the FCS level. They made the FCS playoffs in 2014. And they won 22 different conference championships across multiple sports during Lockmueller's time as AD. And again, Lockmueller was hired by Michael T. Benson. So he did. It looks like he did a pretty good job hiring that athletic director. Now, out of Coastal, he also hired an AD this past year at Coastal Carolina, which we'll get to in the second half of the show when I bring on my guest. But what is most interesting to me was I found an appearance that Michael T. Benson made on the Paul Finebaum Show back in 2021 when conference realignment was really heating up. You know, the Texas, Oklahoma leaving to go to the SEC had just been announced or was happening. And he went on the Paul Finebaum Show to talk about the importance, get this, research to universities. He talked about how people don't understand the importance. And I know us fans don't want to hear this. All we want to talk about is football, TV ratings, and all that stuff. But he said when it comes to realignment, he said people don't realize how important it is to these university presidents and chancellors to be, whether it's AAU, whether it's, other things that these universities are noted for, that stuff is important when it comes to realignment. He mentioned the SEC and how now 30% of the SEC are now 30% of the SEC schools are now AAU accredited. And he even wrote a book. It was a biography on someone named Daniel Gilman, who was one of the founders of the AAU. So a lot of his work in his academic career has been around research universities and university research. So that is very important to him. And I'm sure he's going to bring that passion for research to West Virginia University. Now, what does it mean? Well, does it mean that he's going to try to get West Virginia AAU accredited? Maybe. I'm not sure if they can get there. They would have a lot of work to do. But at the very least, he can hopefully improve West Virginia's academic standing. West Virginia has been one of the lowest rated Power 4 schools in the country for many, many years now. Maybe his passion for research, his knowledge of research, his relationships that he's been able to build throughout all these years as a college administrator, he'll be able to improve West Virginia's academic standing. And in part of doing that, he will be able to utilize athletics because he will understand the importance of utilizing athletics to improve enrollment and to improve the overall perception of a university, the brand power. And on Paul Finebaum, he talked about that. And I'm going to leave a link to that Paul Finebaum episode so you guys can listen for yourself. But he talked about the importance of AAU. And in this world of conference realignment and schools, everybody jockeying for position, trying to stay ahead, trying to stay competitive, that stuff's going to be important, whether we believe it as fans or not, whether we like it or not. You heard it directly from a university president that it is important. And West Virginia now is going to have him in the number one seat running the university. And I think that's a good thing. You've got somebody that's going to want to improve the university's standing, and you're going to have someone who understands the value of athletics both running the department. Hopefully he and Ren Baker work well together. We will see, because we want Ren Baker to remain the athletic director for as long as possible. I believe he's doing a great job. But I really, and Benson in that interview with Finebaum even talked about how we're eventually going to get to a P2 in his opinion. And this is a guy who at the time of this interview was the president of a G5 school in Coastal Carolina. But he said, I understand where we sit, and we're going to do everything we can to stay competitive here at Coastal. But he said, I'm not naive, and I understand that we're eventually going to go to a P2 model. He talks about that. He talks about the importance of paying coaches market value. This guy gets it. He gets it. He's going to do everything he can to make the university successful, in my opinion. He's going to do everything he can to make them successful in athletics, in my opinion. Now, the second half of the show, I'm going to be bringing on my guest, someone who covers Coastal Carolina So I ask that you please stick around for that. But in the meantime, stay tuned because I'm going to give a shout out to one more of my channel sponsors. Are you looking for a brand new online casino right now? Look no further than our good friends over at BetUS. That's right. BetUS also offers an online casino. You can go to betus.com/casino. Take advantage of their 200% sign-up bonus right now on your first deposit. You can get that on whether it's table games, whether it's slot machines, whatever you want to play. It's all right there online at betus.com/casino. Take advantage of that offer today, or you can also use them for your online sports book. However you want to do it, our good friends at BetUS are there to help. Now but if you do bet, please make sure you play responsibly. Now, let's get back to the show. The one and only Alan Blondin. Alan, how you doing today, my man?
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely. So real quick, just let everybody know where they can find you and your work before we get started.
Yeah, if we're on Twitter, it's just at Alan Blondin. And I write I cover the team for My Horry News, which is it's myhorrynews.com, myhorrynews.com. It's kind of named after the county that we're in. And it's a conglomerate of like 5 different weekly newspapers through one publisher. And of course, the online is a daily up-to-date system there.
Right. I've got the name of the publication on the screen there right now for those of you watching. It's, again, My Horry News, HORRY. He covers Coastal Carolina over there, and probably, are you strictly Coastal, or do you cover other teams as well?
No, just Coastal, and I write about golf as well.
Cool.
Yeah, so I've been writing here in the market for 30 plus years, and I've covered Coastal 25 plus years for different publications, actually over the different years.
Awesome. Well, all right. Well, just what are West Virginia fans getting in Michael Benson as far as athletics goes? What in your mind?
Yeah, he's a very, very positive guy, kind of a rah-rah guy. He uses his social media platforms.
That's good.
Yeah, particularly Twitter, just to constantly boost up a lot of the athletic events and the athletic teams and their accomplishments. So yeah, I mean, he's very geared into athletics. I think he's a big fan of athletics himself. He likes to attend the games, and he's actually earmarked a lot of money and garnered a lot of money through state assistance. And there's a penny tax in the Horry County area that's earmarked for higher education. He's managed to get a lot of those dollars to put toward athletic facilities at Coastal. So yeah, he's as far as athletics goes, he's got his ear to it. I mean, he's on top of it, and he certainly works to make the team successful.
So you'd say it's fair that he understands the importance of it then, as far as what, the athletics is basically the front porch to a university. He understands the importance of that and how it helps with enrollment and every other aspect of the school. You think that's fair to say?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And he, so 2 of the biggest things he did, especially facilities wise, in his, he got here in 2020. So in his tenure here, they're about to complete an indoor practice facility for the football team, which, living on the coast, and a lot of their spring and fall practices would kind of get washed out a bit if it was, if we got some thunderstorms and they scheduled the practice wrong. And so he got that built. It's almost under completion now. It's very close. And then he actually has a convocation center, an 8,000 seat convocation center that has been approved, and that's going to be at the entrance to the. It's basically right now there. It's kind of a bit of an innocuous entrance into the university off US 501, which is the main road that comes in. And this convocation center is going to be built right there at the entrance. It's going to kind of be it'll be the I guess the highlight of the university, and
Gotcha.
people see it. So yeah, that's earmarked to be built. And that was really, he was the guy behind that push. And, Coastal currently plays in about a 3,000 seat basketball arena.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be 8,000 seats, and they're going to play their basketball games there. And
awesome.
so, yeah, it's, the amount of dedication and attention that he puts to athletics is, I would say, I don't even know if it might be even a little unusual for a president of a university.
That's great. Yeah, I was hoping that would be the case when I heard that E. Gordon Gee was stepping down. I was hoping they would bring someone in who understood the importance of it, for the sake of folks like myself who cover and cheer. I'm a fan as well, who cheer for the team and want the team to do well. And it sounds like we got that guy, Michael Benson. And I do know that he's done a lot. When you look at I've been looking over his past a lot, and he's really big as when you look at the academic stuff, which can tie into sports too, especially with realignment. He's big on research universities. He even wrote a book talking about someone named Daniel Gilman, who was one of the founders of the AAU, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's really big on that. And do you know anything about that side of him as far as his the research side and what he's done on that front at Coastal?
I don't know a ton on that. I do know that he has written a few books on it. He's written, I think he's on up to maybe 4 books or 5 books he's written. So yeah, I mean, the guy is, he's pretty much on top of everything, to be honest.
Right.
He's pretty tuned in, and that's why he's only been at Coastal for 5 years, and somebody came and got him because,
right.
He came here with good credentials. He did such a good job here, and he's moving on to a much bigger university, more high profile university, and I'm sure for him and his family, a lot more money.
Yeah. If you look at his career progression, I mean, he started off at Snow College in Utah, which is a small school. Then he moved up to Southern Utah. Then he moved up to Eastern Kentucky, which, not too far from WVU really, as far as one state over, not far at all. The Appalachian region, I guess you could say. And then the Coastal. So he's taken a step up each and every time, right? And I kind of taking that natural career progression, which he should be well prepared for the job, because he's experienced it all at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And during his time here, also he hired a new AD. The old AD at Coastal kind of rose up from the very beginning ranks. He was actually he had been a broadcaster for the university covering their games. And Matt Hogue, and he rose to the level of AD, held that position for I'd have to look it up, but a good 15 years.
Right.
He had been the AD, and so he's moved into another position in the university, and Michael T. Benson went out and got Chance Miller, who was he was the associate AD at South Carolina, but in all essence, a lot of his duties were as the full AD because he was under Ray Tanner, the former baseball coach, and Ray, was kind of weaning his way out of, he was just kind of overseeing a lot of things in that AD position as opposed to hands-on doing them. And Chance was the guy that really was given most of those duties. So he was almost the de facto AD for 5 years at South Carolina, and then they managed to get him over here. So they got a guy who may have even been overqualified for this position, and he's done a lot of things Chance has with game day presentation and trying to upgrade that kind of stuff. And they've cleaned out a few, their SID. They've got nobody left from their former SID staff, and they've got some new coaches. So I mean, they've kind of cleaned house a bit with Chance, and you would assume that in the end, based on having kind of run the things at South Carolina, that he's going to do well at Coastal.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Well, Alan, I appreciate you. I know you're on a tight schedule today, so I appreciate you coming on, man. One more time, can you let my listeners and viewers know where to find you and your work?
Again, on Twitter, it's at Alan Blondin. And to read it, you can go to myhorrynews.com.
And again, for those of you who might just be listening, it's Horry, Horry, My Horry News. It's Horry County, South Carolina. It's where Coastal Carolina is located. And it's Blondin with an I, Blondin, for those of you who may be listening. Alan, thanks again, man, for coming on such short notice. And hope the rest of your day is good, my man.
Yes, sir. And good luck. And I think you guys will do well with Michael Benson for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear, because we've been kind of nervous about that.
Yeah.
In this day and age of realignment, man, everybody's kind of in a critical spot right now. So they couldn't afford to mess this up.
Mm-hmm. No, I think they did well with this one.
Good deal. Well, Alan, thank you, my man, and again, have a great day.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoyed my interview with Alan. I'd like to thank him for coming on the show. Want to take this opportunity to give another shout out to my channel sponsors, Katz, Cantor, Stone Street, and Buckner, your personal injury and medical malpractice attorney in the state of West Virginia. They are also licensed in Virginia. Also want to give a shout out to BetUS Online, your home for sports betting or an online casino. Thank them for helping to keep the lights on. I want to thank you for tuning into the show. If you don't mind, please support me by hitting the thumbs up button on this video. Also, subscribing to the channel if you haven't yet. Check out my basketball channel called Hoops from the Hills, where I cover West Virginia Mountaineer basketball. Thanks again for your support. Thanks for tuning in. Hope the rest of your day is top shelf. And cue Country Roads.